Heed my words. I am Melania, Blade of Mikola.
It's been widely debated if Elden Ring is FromSoftware's hardest game. While there are certainly solid arguments on both sides of the conversation, it's easy for all to agree that the game features some of the best and toughest fights in the entire Soulsborne catalog. While there are a lot of bosses featured in Elden Ring, 10 of them stand out as the toughest that players will encounter in their journey through the lands between. Some of the bosses on this list are optional, however, you'll be required to fight many of them if you want to become Elden Lord, so be ready for when they each make their debut. It also goes without saying that this list will contain spoilers for the bosses in Elden Ring, so if you don't want to know anything about some of the most memorable fights in the game, it's best you complete your playthrough before watching this video. That said, here are the 10 hardest bosses in Elden Ring ranked on their difficulty. Number 10. Scourge Radon. In a fight, Radon can be pretty punishing. His gravity arrows hit like a truck, and despite the comical way he rides around on his loyal steed, his giant swords can quickly lay waste to your foul ambitions. Mounting up yourself can somewhat lessen the intensity of the battle, shifting into a sort of cat and mouse game with quick strikes and retreats, but overall, Radon is an impressive foe on the battlefield. Being able to summon a total of 8 warriors to assist in defeating this boss does lessen the difficulty drastically, making Radon a bit easier than some of the other bosses in the game. That said, the push forward with all 8 warriors does create a wild spectacle to behold. Number 9. Mog Lord of Blood. Most of Mog's attacks utilize fire or inflict blood loss buildup, and many of his attacks come without delay, throwing off when you truly need to dodge to avoid the blow. His powerful Blood Boon ritual, which inflicts 3 big spikes of damage while also healing him, can end the fight quickly if you aren't ready for it. That said, he does have some weaknesses, however. You can mix the Purifying Crystal Tear into the Flask of Wondrous Physic to negate the damage inflicted by the Blood Boon ritual, and you can also utilize Mog's Shackle to briefly bind him during phase 1 to inflict extra damage against him. A difficult fight, however, for the unprepared. Number 8. Godric the Grafted. A twisted descendant of Godfrey, Godric is the final boss of Stormvale Castle, the first legacy dungeon in Elden Ring. While Margit the Fell Omen might be the first main story boss that players encounter, Godric the Grafted is the first major difficulty spike in the game. Godric's attacks are wild and unpredictable, and each sweeping blow or high-flying leap can end the fight in the blink of an eye. While Godric can feel insurmountable at first brush, it's equally his placement in the early game that makes him such a challenge. No boss is quite as complex or grotesque before this point, earning him a place on this list. Number 7. Crucible Knight or Dovus. In one of the rarer double boss fights in Elden Ring, Crucible Knight or Dovus is accompanied by a lesser Crucible Knight. This is also the only minor dungeon boss to make it on this list, awaiting the Tarnished at the end of Ariza Hero's Grave. At this point in the game, you'll have likely encountered a small handful of Crucible Knights, but Crucible Knight or Dovus and his companion proved to be the toughest by far, and the most difficult of the minor dungeon bosses. Both knights hit extremely hard, and both enemies share a trigger to attack as soon as you try to heal or use an item, making spacing in this small arena particularly frustrating. Once you've been able to eliminate one of them, however, the fight becomes much simpler, but they're excellent at keeping up the pressure until you're able to accomplish just that. Number 6. Godskin Duo. Perhaps the most frustrating double boss in the game, Godskin Duo is made up of the Godskin Apostle and the Godskin Noble bosses, each of which you'll have fought solo at separate points during the game. But it isn't until Crumbling Far Missoula that you'll have to face both of them at once. Both of the Godskins are fairly dangerous on their own, each with an array of melee and ranged magic abilities, but the aspect of this fight that makes them so uniquely frustrating is the fact that they share a single health bar. Each boss will continue to respawn until the health bar is fully depleted. Combine this feature with a fairly small combat arena littered with columns that are all too easy to be stuck on, and you're in for a really tough endgame fight. Number 5. Dragon Lord Placidusics. Perhaps the most hidden boss on this list, Dragon Lord Placidusics can be found toward the end of Crumbling Fair Missoula after dropping down a series of crumbling platforms that wind down toward the heart of the Maelstrom. This two-headed dragon breathes fire, calls down red crackling lightning from the sky, and even transforms into mist and teleports around the battlefield, often with an attack already underway when he reappears. While every other dragon fight in Elden Ring allows for mounted combat, Placidusics does not. Because of this, you really have to learn the delayed timing of some of his attacks. Number 4. Fire Giant. Despite his fairly mundane name, this boss can be an extremely dangerous, if sometimes uneven, fight. Fire Giant towers over the player, smashing down his massive shield, stomping and rolling over you, not to mention the various fire-based attacks he hurls your way. The boss's size is by far his greatest asset. While you're attacking, it's next to impossible to actually see any of his attacks because they're happening off screen. It becomes extra important to unlock the boss's ankle and watch for his attacks above you. Due to his sometimes wonky hitboxes, this boss can feel insurmountably frustrating, but perseverance will always pay off in the end. Number 3. Beast Clergyman, Malekith the Black Blade. The Beast Clergyman is deceptively quick, and several of his attacks come with a built-in delay that can catch and punish you if you dodge too early, but the real trouble comes in Phase 2. After transforming, Malekith becomes an acrobatic monstrosity, leaping all over the arena and launching devastating red energy from his sword. This wild leaping can quickly disorient you, leaving you in a bad position for when he uses his Destined Death ability, which continues to reduce your health even after the attack finishes. Depending on how aggressive this boss can be, it's incredibly easy to die within just a few seconds of Phase 2's beginning. Number 2. Radagon of the Golden Order / Elden Beast. These are technically two separate bosses, but they must be beaten back to back as a Phase 1, Phase 2 combo. Radagon is the ultimate wall here at the end of the game. This boss comes with a wide variety of both flashy and simple moves, and each attack comes with its own unique rhythm. You can't afford to use up all of your healing flasks, however, heading into Phase 2, where you'll battle Elden Beast. Because the Elden Beast regularly retreats across the massive battlefield and peppers you with ranged attacks, it can feel like the fight is mostly spent in pursuit rather than actually fighting it. With several devastating attacks that genuinely feel like they have few or no counters, this boss can whittle away your sanity as well as your health bar in seconds. Number 1. Melania, Blade of Miquella. Rounding out this list with perhaps an obvious choice but still an inevitable choice is Melania, Blade of Miquella. Melania is perhaps the hardest boss across the storied history of the Soulsborne genre. Not only do her attacks hit so incredibly hard, not only does she have a wide range of deceptively timed combos, not only does she heal after landing every single blow, but her waterfowl dance attack is perhaps the most devastating attack across any of the FromSoft catalog. The rest of the fight has a beauty and deadly rhythm to it, one worthy of the hardest boss in Elden Ring. The satisfaction that comes from finally defeating this seemingly impossible and completely optional boss is perhaps unmatched throughout all FromSoftware titles. And that's our list of the toughest bosses in Elden Ring. Think we missed one? Make sure to let us know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe to DualShockers for all things Elden Ring.